Mr Speaker, this is another one of those pleasant occasions for me as a new member where all sides of the House, I'm not sure if the Greens are supportive, they are. There's no imprisonment involved, Mr Speaker, so they're in support as well, where all sides of the House come together to support a sensible piece of legislation. And, Mr Speaker, who can play down the importance of insurance in an uncertain world? The vicissitudes of life, Mr Speaker, can affect all of us. And the one thing standing between us and perils of many kinds is insurance. Mr Speaker, there are many different kinds of insurance, of course. Some of them sourced here from within New Zealand, but other types more traditionally sourced from overseas. I'm thinking particularly of maritime and shipping insurance, which of course is the preserve of Lloyd's of London. But another specialist area of insurance also frequently offered from overseas, and I raise this, Mr Speaker, because this bill particularly deals with overseas insurers, is employment protection insurance. Because of course being found without a job can be a devastating event for anyone. And anyone can be exposed to that peril, Mr Speaker. Even us here in the House can find themselves without a job suddenly, without warning, or when not expected. All of us, I think, would have to admit, as I do, that we are here on 3-year fixed-term contracts with no right of renewal. And, Mr Speaker, absolutely. No, well, I've maintained my income protection insurance, Mr Robertson, because I'm very aware of that, and I notice you have too. So we're two prudent members, and this, of course, is an insurance Prudential Supervision bill. But, Mr Speaker, if one does not have income protection insurance, and mine, perhaps like Mr Robertson, is also underwritten by an overseas insurer, AIA in my case, and this bill serves to ensure that insurer is able to meet a claim when the claimant suddenly finds himself, for whatever reason, expelled from their employment, terminated, kicked out, unable to continue in the lifestyle they have been accustomed to. And on that point, Mr Speaker, if one has become accustomed to a particularly lavish lifestyle and then finds oneself with that sort of thing, and one then finds oneself without an income, suddenly, bang, they need to fall back on their income protection insurance. Mr Speaker, the point I'm working up to is that any insurance contract is only as good as the company behind it. It doesn't matter what sort of flowers are on the front of the document, or how ornate and elaborate and coloured and pretty the contract is, Mr Speaker. If the underwriter of that contract is no good, if he has feet of clay, as we say in the legal trade, then that contract is no good. So, Mr Speaker, this bill is to be welcomed because, particularly for those of us who have employment protection insurance, those of us who can find ourselves thrown out without warning, even short of our 3-year fixed-term contract, for whatever reason, misconduct perhaps. Well, it could apply to anyone, Mr. What was your name again? It could apply to anyone. That's the point, and that's what insurance is about. It protects us from the vicissitudes of life that come out of nowhere. You're going along, doing your job, or so you think, to the best of your ability, and all of a sudden something happens, and you're gone. It can happen very, very quickly, Mr Speaker, sometimes within hours, or certainly within several days. And there you are, unable to pay your mortgage, unable to pay for your overseas trip, perhaps, that you'd booked, for example, your new suit that you'd ordered. And if you don't have your income protection insurance, backed up by a company of sound and prudential renown, then you're in the colloquial sense, Mr Speaker, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And this bill...
The Speaker is not in trouble, I would say.
My apologies, sir. No, one is in trouble, Mr Speaker. one in that an unenviable position is in trouble. No income, lavish lifestyle, cast out. So, Mr Speaker, this bill is to be welcomed. As I've said, it has particular emphasis on overseas companies to ensure that they are supervised properly in a prudential sense, to ensure that if our hypothetical employment protection insurance contract needs to be honoured, if one is forced to call upon it unexpectedly, without warning, as is the way of life, sadly, sir, it ensures that that company will be sound and that the person, the holder of that contract, is at least cushioned to some degree from the harsh, cold reality of finding themselves suddenly without a job. So, Mr Speaker, we are very happy in the ACT Party to join with other parties in the House to support this bill, and we applaud it. Thank you.
I call Amy Adams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.